Read this book. Read this book. You don't have any illustrations. But so there are kind of three starling forms of mimicry that we could talk about to simplify things. Starlings mimic humans. That's the kind of parrot effect. But starlings also imitate other birds, which is very interesting. That's kind of like mockingbirds too. I call that a kind of mockingbird effect. And then, most peculiarly and interestingly also, starlings mimic anything in the surrounding environment. Bicycle wheel squeaks, car alarms, really anything. So if we take first the ways in which starlings mimic humans, or can be trained, in fact, to imitate humans. This is interesting for scientists, actually. Scientists have studied starlings, among other birds, to explore the ways in which human language is distinct from animal language. But recently, fairly recently, in the 20th century anyway, there's the suggestion that starlings can also do what, for instance, someone like Noam Chomsky thinks only humans can do, which is reproduce these complex recursive structures in patterns in their birdsong, actually. And these are kind of interesting features of starling or minor bird mimicry of humans that go way back also in poetic traditions, both the European traditions, in Britain, for instance. Some of the first stories, the Mabinogion, feature a starling who's trained to sing. In Shakespeare, there's a starling trained to say some tormenting word. But also in the Asian traditions I mentioned, actually going back really far into literary history, Sanskrit and Chinese traditions, you have starlings who are actually almost very often paired with parrots. So there's a great interest in the ways in which these birds, starling or myna, these birds are reproducing human speech. We think that it's our smartness being reflected. It's actually not. The question, that third form of bird mimicry, starlings imitating sound, the echo sounds around us, that's the most fascinating and in some ways the least studied. Although I think you can go back to see how scientists, that our scientific interests, but also literary interests, have always been drawn to that sense of the elemental sounds that birdsong is involved in songbirds, birdsong, but just the way birds are part of the ecosystem, the ecosystem too.